Americans have long been fascinated with the possible existence of UFOs, now being called UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. And yet the mid-December defense budget bill rejecting publicizing UAP information. In tonight's special edition of Capitol Report, we'll bring you our interview with Justine Eisenhinker, who heads up geopolitics and UAP research at the Malone Institute, an organization whose goal, among other things, is to bring integrity to this subject and to government. I spoke with her before the House rejected the Senate's push to amend the defense bill to require UAP info be made public. Justine Eisenhinker, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, Justine, you've actually been writing on Substack with Dr. Robert Malone regarding the United States government concealment of UFOs, otherwise known as unidentified anomalous phenomenon is what they're calling it now. These UAPs are subject of a lot of skepticism. You have a bipartisan effort between Republican Senator Mike Rounds, Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer introducing a bill. I want to play some sound of Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor and get your reaction.
Finally, on UAEs. While it's not related to China, House Republicans are also attempting to kill another common-sense bipartisan measure passed by the Senate, which I was proud to co-sponsor with Senator Rounds as the lead sponsor, to increase transparency around what the government does and does not know about unidentified aerial phenomena. Unidentified aerial phenomena generate intense curiosity for many Americans, and the risk for confusion and misinformation is high if the government isn't willing to be transparent.
What kind of misinformation could result if Congress is not willing or does not act to open up these records?
Well, I would say that the misinformation is a continual disinformation campaign that's been unrolling for the last 80 years, as David Grush has alleged when he did his interview on News Nation. And that disinformation has been to effectively say that if you have seen something or come across something or experienced something that is inexplicable, then there's something wrong with you and that the phenomenon doesn't exist. And that has been a stigma that's been associated with UFO sightings, what they're now calling UAPs, the destigmatized terminology.
Do you think this is by design, perhaps?
I honestly think that it is by design by a certain contingent within the government. Well, I do think it's by design. The why is the question that keeps coming up, and we don't know the why. Why would you not open up all the information that you have and say, okay, here's everything we have. This doesn't exist and it makes no sense, or, you know, yes, we have craft, we have alien bodies, we don't know what these are. Yet, the reason that they're not doing that is the question that everyone is asking. The government should be comfortable unless there's something nefarious going on. And I think that's where the confusion with people lies, is that if the government was doing something that was benign, then there's no problem sharing it. You still have the intelligence community, you know, in hand with the Department of Defense, withholding information from the people that pay their salaries.
Is this, or could it be, like the fox guarding the hen house?
Absolutely. That's the excuse they've had for decades, is that it's about national security. Well, why is it about national security? And
it has eerie similarities to something else in more recent times.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Very much so.
In terms of, just locked down for a few months for the good of your neighbor and social distance and things like that we found out didn't actually help.
The playbook that the government has been using for the last 80 years was refined and effectively put into action very well with COVID. You know, the control of the message through the manipulation of media, of social media, of influencing people, of terrorizing people, all of that has its roots in what they've done on the UFO disinformation campaign that they've been running. And that just triggers my interest, because suddenly you're asking yourself, well, I now know through Robert and through the tons of research that I've done and the conferences that I've gone to with him, that the government lied openly, brazenly. And why would you use your playbook if you're telling the truth, you don't need that. You're just, naked before all, so to speak. But again, that manipulation strikes me as, what are you hiding?
Do you think there are some lawmakers that simply do not want transparency on this UAP topic?
I think that's absolutely the case.
Why?
There's two reasons. The first, David Grush alluded to on his podcast with Joe Rogan recently, which is there are people that like to be the power brokers of knowledge. They like to be the all-knowing, all-seeing, all-powerful people in our government that have all the information, but you can't have any. And that apparently is some big ego boost, and that I've heard from other sources too. When it comes to, what the direct motivation, no doubt there's financial motivation involved. There certainly are many defense contracting companies that are sponsoring a number of the Republicans that pushed back against this particular Schumer amendment. And it's unclear whether that actually happened or not, but that is the assumption everyone's leading to, and none of them are coming out and objecting to any of those allegations. And the dead silence is frustrating for all of us, because we were led to believe, when I say we, those that are following the subject with an avid interest, were led to believe that the Schumer amendment and the bill that the House passed very recently that contained the Schumer amendment, as well as Tim Burchett's 1.5-page amendment, were bipartisan, and that there was broad consensus that that's what we wanted. Turns out, and a lot of us were blindsided that what they actually passed was a very narrow scope of the Schumer amendment that only really referred to the National Archives, stripped out eminent domain, stripped out the review panel, subpoena powers. It neutered it.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.